Welcome to Opportunity Crude's Management Seminar Series, an informative look at crude processing challenges. Disclaimers. The purpose of the OCMS series is to provide refiners with the latest information in processing opportunity or price-advantaged crudes, such as heavy sour oil, oil sand bitumen, light tight oil, and highly acidic crudes so that they can make better decisions in light of a volatile oil market. Video number 12, What's Coking? Video number 10, What About Bob? Bottom of the barrel. Discuss the various methods to upgrade heavy residue into more desirable products. These methods include traditional means, such as solvent deasphalting or SDA, which we discussed in video number 11, coking, visbreaking, and novel conversion processes such as resid FCC or RFCC, resid hydrotreating, and resid hydrocracking. This video will focus on the coking process. Video number 12, What's Coking? We'll discuss coking in 7 sections. After introducing the video, we will discuss the global coke market, including demand for types of coke, predictions for the market, and recommendations for refiners in regards to coke production. The section in the news, Coker Unit Installations, will examine how global coking capacity is expected to increase in the future, and how some refiners have already installed new capacity in preparation for IMO's new sulfur spec. Coking techniques will then introduce general concepts about coking and different coking techniques. The section Commercial Coking Technologies will present various companies' patented coking processes. Coking Operational Experiences will discuss causes and mitigation strategies against coke drum foaming. We will then recap the topics of the video in the conclusion. This diagram shows the products produced from each bottom of the barrel upgrading method. The coking process yields butane gas, naphtha, gas oil, and coke. The selection and operation of a resid upgrading scheme will largely determine the refiner's ability to produce a desirable product slate while processing heavier crudes. Recent and upcoming mandates have led to a decrease in the demand for heavy fuel oil. The International Maritime Organization's or IMO 0.1% spec for sulfur for fuel used in ocean-going vessels traveling through dedicated emissions-controlled areas has reduced the demand for 1% sulfur fuel oil to the point where the remaining material is simply blended in with the high-sulfur 3.5% bunker pool. Demand is expected to decrease further when the IMO enacts a 0.5% sulfur content spec in 2020. According to the Executive Vice President for Italian Oil and Gas Group ENI, refiners have 2 options: either buy low-sulfur feedstock or invest in technologies to convert bottoms into acceptable fuels. Because the first option is not economical, refiners should look to bottom-of-the-barrel upgrading to meet the demand for low-sulfur fuel oil. Of the methods to upgrading heavy streams, coking has been the primary option due to the flexibility of the process. The increasing popularity of coking has led to extensive research into new and modified processes and technologies related to coking. This table shows the properties, particularly of the resid fraction, for a number of heavy crude grades from around the world that have API gravities from 10 to 26 degrees. In comparison, conventional crudes such as benchmark Brent of 37 to 39 degrees API and 0.35 to 0.45% sulfur and West Texas Intermediate or WTI of 39.1 degrees API and 6% sulfur have only 9 to 11 volume percent and 6 volume percent of resid respectively. Register today for the 6th Opportunity Crudes Conference in Houston, Texas from October 22nd to the 24th by visiting OpportunityCrudes.com/Houston 2018. The theme of the conference is Crude Disruptors, Accelerating Changes in Global Refining. Change is not new in the refining world, but sudden shifts are disruptive to steady operations. Geopolitical tensions and supply fluctuations add big risk premiums to the crude market, threatening feedstock delivery to global refineries. To name a few disruptors, which have already created market volatility and supply uncertainties: U.S. announcing its exit of the Iran nuclear deal, deterioration in Venezuela's oil production and exports, Russia's pivot of oil shipments to Asia from Europe, OPEC and non-OPEC producers reducing medium sour grade exports to meet agreed quotas, increasing U.S. oil export to Europe, Asia, and Latin America, but trade tension could disrupt this trend. Refiners also face shifting product demand because of consumption and environmental reasons. Can refiners fight both changing feedstock and product battles at the same time? As in our previous meetings, this biennial conference has assembled a team of well-known business strategists and technology gurus to help refiners tackle urgent challenges and identify exceptional opportunities. Join us in this highly productive and rewarding event, thanks to excellent speakers, timely theme, well-organized agenda, and stimulating atmosphere to encourage the exchange of ideas. The agenda of the 2.5-day event consists of 5 topical sessions covering global crude supply and export trends, crude management and blending, processing light, tight and residual oils, and advanced refinery Internet of Things applications. This meeting is coordinated with Crude Oil Quality Association's fall meeting to better service our upstream, midstream, and downstream colleagues worldwide. The Opportunity Crudes Conference is hosted by Hydrocarbon Publishing Company. Here is a preliminary agenda for the 6th Opportunity Crudes Conference. The upcoming 0.5% sulfur spec in bunker fuels is expected to cause an upheaval in the bunker market, which consumes 3 million barrels per day of high sulfur residual fuel oil, and add upwards of $35 to $40 billion in compliance costs to ship owners, while less developed countries could look to shift high sulfur fuel oil from the bunker market to power generation post-2020. Refineries in developed countries are looking to minimize high sulfur fuel oil output. The desulfurization of residual fuel to meet new specifications remains a difficult and costly process, and as a result, maritime fuel use may shift from residual fuels to lighter distillates and marine diesel, significantly impacting one of the major outlets for refinery residual fuel oil. Estimates have said some 2 million barrels per day of distillates would be needed to back out of residual fuel oil from the bunker pool to meet the new lower sulfur bunker spec, a prediction that is shared by Wood Mackenzie analyst Suresh Sivanandam. Bernhard Schull Ship Management has opted predominantly for distillate fuels rather than scrubber technology. Considering the small number of ships that have installed sulfur abatement technology, the U.S. EIA estimates that U.S. high sulfur bunker fuel demand will drop to less than 50,000 barrels per day, compared to 322,000 barrels per day of production in the U.S. in 2017. In the U.S., demand for fuel-grade coke should remain low due to expensive upgrades for sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide emissions controls. Currently, there is an inadequate supply of needle coke due to ongoing OPEC and non-OPEC cuts that have limited the supply of medium and heavy crudes on the market. Global anode-grade coke supply is forecast to grow by just 2% from 2017 to 2022 and 2.6% through 2025. Anode-grade green petcoke production is expected to be hampered because vacuum tower bottoms from light, sweet crude used to produce anode-grade green petcoke are expected to be more valuable as a blend stock to the bunker pool post-2020. In November of 2017, India's Supreme Court banned the use of petcoke by industries in the northern states of Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh that surround New Delhi, which already has a ban on petcoke use. India's Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister later announced in December that the government plans to stop imports and use of home-produced petcoke, which when used in power generation and manufacturing, has been blamed for creating air pollution that result in over 1 million premature deaths per year in India. However, the Environment Ministry argued against the ban in New Delhi and the 3 provinces, saying it wanted to give certain low-impact industries a year to find petcoke alternatives. According to S&P Global Platts analyst Jeffrey McDonald, the petcoke markets grew so fast across the country that a ban around New Delhi isn't going to put a huge dent in the overall demand for petcoke. Because very few power plants use fuel-grade coke, U.S. refiners should sell it abroad at deep discounts or even at a loss just to get rid of it. Well above forecast supply growth, demand for global anode-grade coke is expected to rise 10% from 2017 to 2020, even potentially reaching 30% in 2025. A development that could further tighten anode-grade coke availability moving forward is the implementation of the IMO 0.5% sulfur bunker spec. Global prices of graphite electrodes made from needle coke produced in refinery coking units have risen. According to KBR, significant economic benefits can be realized when processing resin streams in a dedicated coker to produce anode-grade green petcoke, and these benefits could be further amplified post-2020. The CEO of independent U.S. refiner PBF Energy Incorporated, Tom Nimbley, considers the possibility of a seismic shift in the high-sulfur bunker fuel market and believes coking capacity to be valuable to the company once the new spec takes effect. PBF also said that some refineries without coking capacity that use medium-sour crudes may not be economically viable after 2020 because high-sulfur fuel oil demand will plummet. According to OPEC's World Oil Outlook 2017, over 1 million barrels per day of coking and visbreaking capacity will be added between 2017 and 2022, with the new IMO spec being the main driver behind coking and visbreaking additions as refineries around the world aim to minimize fuel oil output. According to delegates at the World Refining Association conference in Athens, Greece on November 14, 2017, the 0.5% sulfur spec for global bunker fuel will drive investments in refining capacity to the end of the decade. According to the delegates, crude distillation capacity was expected to grow 8%, coking capacity by 35%, and hydrocracking capacity by 37% from the 2012 level. The consultancy Facts Global Energy predicted that complex refineries with bottom-of-the-barrel and hydrocracking capacity will benefit the most from the IMO spec, as heavy, high-sulfur crude prices are expected to decline and diesel cracks are poised to strengthen once the new spec goes into effect. Giacomo Romeo of Macquarie Capital expects 200,000 barrels per day of additional coker capacity to start up in the next 3 years in Europe in anticipation of the new spec. This chart shows the trend of total coking, both delayed and fluid, capacity installed in the U.S. from January 1, 1997 to January 1, 2017. The arrival of light tight oil, with less bottom residual fraction, in the U.S. has apparently dampened the requirement and installation of cokers in the country. According to the record, U.S. coking capacity was about 1.32 million barrels per day at the end of 1996 and had been growing since then. However, the rate started to level off in 2013, resulting in little growth between January 2014 at about 2.77 million barrels per day and January 2017 at about 2.81 million barrels per day. In the U.S., delayed coking capacity increased from 1.9 million barrels per stream day in 2000 to 2.8 million barrels per stream day in 2017, according to U.S. EIA data. This uptick in delayed coking capacity has allowed U.S. refineries to reduce average fuel oil output from 4.1% of total refinery output in 2009 to just 2.5% in 2018. Operators that add high-sulfur fuel oil to their coker feed slate will likely shift to sweeter crude inputs for balance. According to Gary Devinish of the energy consultancy Baker & O'Brien, the increased processing of domestic tight oil by refineries in the U.S. Gulf Coast could allow more of the excess high-sulfur fuel oil to be routed to excess coking and hydrocracking capacity for further processing, with the potential of up to 850,000 barrels per day of excess coking and hydrocracking capacity materializing in the U.S. Gulf Coast. In the latest news regarding coking units in the U.S., PBF Energy Incorporated could restart an idled 9,000 barrel per day coker at its 190,000 barrel per day Chalmette, Louisiana refinery if conditions around the new IMO spec warrant it. Valero plans to maintain its 2018 capex at $2.7 billion, with part of this investment including the addition of a second delayed coking unit with a capacity of 100,000 barrels per day at its 335,000 barrel per day Port Arthur, Texas refinery. U.S. refiners can benefit greatly from added coking capacity as it allows refiners to take advantage of the better spreads offered by processing Canadian crude. In 2012, Sinclair Oil added coking and hydrocracking capacity at its Rawlins refinery in Sinclair, Wyoming to allow for the processing of Canadian barrels. It also boosted overall throughput by 6,000 barrels per day to 85,000 barrels per day. 6 of the 15 refineries in PADD 4 now have coking capacity that facilitates the processing of heavy Canadian crudes. However, using cokers creates a significant amount of petcoke, and processes such as resid hydrocracking that eliminate petcoke byproduct can be very expensive. U.S. export of petcoke to India has been challenged by India's petroleum and natural gas minister over environmental concerns. In Latin America, Mexican state-owned Pemex has chosen Japanese firm Mitsui as its partner in building a coker to process its heavy Maya crude. Pemex has already invested $1.24 billion in a coker project at its 315,000 barrel per day Tula refinery. The new coker will allow fuel oil to be processed and should boost gasoline production by 40%. Mitsui expects completion of construction in 2021. ExxonMobil will start operating a delayed coker in the first half of 2018 at its Antwerp refinery in Belgium. The unit will use high-sulfur fuel oil feeds to produce the 2020 IMO bunker fuel, as well as other varieties of diesel. Construction is expected to be complete in early 2018, but startup may take several months. Repsol's head of refining, Francisco Vasquez, said that his company has installed 5 cokers at its 4 refineries to reduce the yield of fuel oil to close to zero. In the Commonwealth of Independent States and Eastern Europe, a number of companies have added coker units to refineries. Some notable instances include Gazprom Neft adding a 13.4 thousand barrel per day coker to its Pančevo refinery in Serbia, making it the first refinery to produce coke in Serbia. Grupa Lotos has installed a 2-drum unit at its refinery in Poland as part of its new deep conversion complex, which also includes cokered naphtha hydrotreating, hydrogen generation, and hydrowax vacuum distillation units. Lukoil will license Chevron Lummus Global's delayed coking technology for a new 14.1 thousand barrel per day unit being built as part of the deep conversion complex at its refinery in Kostova City, central Russia. The Russian government has implemented programs that invest in technology that lowers output of low-quality products, such as fuel oil and vacuum gas oil, and increases production of high-quality products, such as diesel and gasoline. In 2011, the Russian government introduced a plan to install 120 refinery upgrading units, including cokers. As of 2017, 180,000 barrels per day of coking capacity has been added. The Russian government also created a $55 billion program to boost diesel and gasoline make to at least 80% while cutting fuel oil production to 20% or lower. Refiners in the Middle East and Asia are also putting cokers into their operations. In Oman, Duqm Refinery and Petrochemical Industries will start up its $7 billion Duqm Refinery in 2021 with 52,000 barrels per day of delayed coking capacity. An additional 143,000 barrels per day of delayed coking capacity will be started up by 2022, divided among 4 planned refineries in Turkey, Egypt, China, and Brunei. Moreover, companies in China, India, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and South Korea plan to either expand existing coking capacity or add new units. According to Energy Security Analysis President Sarah Emerson, new investments in coking and desulfurization units in Asia are likely to result in 1.2 million barrels per day of new demand for heavy and medium crudes in the region. Coking is a carbon rejection method achieved through the severe thermal cracking of heavy hydrocarbon feeds, most typically vacuum resid feeds. The rejected carbon takes the form of petroleum coke, which is then calcined in further steps to remove entrained hydrocarbons. Green coke is defined as the coke product directly from the coker. Carbon content can be further increased by calcination at temperatures between 1800 and 2400 degrees Fahrenheit or 980 to 1315 degrees Celsius. The 3 main processes of coking available to refiners are delayed coking, flexi-coking, and fluid coking. Delayed coking is considered to be the dominant technology due to its ability to enhance refinery liquid yields from a wide range of residual feed streams. Delayed coking. which is the most popular method, involves the feed being charged to the bottom of a fractionator where it is refluxed against hot vapors entering from the in-service coke drum. The fractionator bottoms are then sent through a fired heater to a large coking drum at a high velocity, which shortens the residence time in the horizontal heater tubes and delays the bulk of the coking reactions until the drums are reached, hence the name delayed coking. A stream of heavy coker gas oil is condensed while the remaining vapors are cooled and separated into gas and liquid products as they ascend through the fractionation tower. A generalized diagram of the delayed coking process is depicted in this figure. Coke collected in the drum have three general categories. Needle coke exhibits microscopic anisotropic particles and evolved from processing aromatic feedstocks at high pressures greater than 100 psi gauge or 690 kilopascals and high recycle ratios, such as 1:1. Sponge coke is characterized by irregular particles ranging from 50 centimeters or 1.64 feet down to dust. It is typically produced from low sulfur, low metals vacuum resids. Shot coke is usually an unintentional product when processing very heavy residual feeds. The particles can exceed 20 centimeters or 0.66 feet, but are not a useful product as the particle surface areas are much less than sponge coke, and they do not have useful characteristics for manufacturing electrodes like needle coke. Refineries can produce three types of coke: fuel grade, which include shot, sponge, or a combination, anode grade, and needle grade. The morphology, typical feed characteristics, impact on coker operations and yield, primary outlets, and demand of the three grades of coke are summarized in this table. The coke in the drum is used for fuel. The manufacture of anodes for electrolytic alumina reduction. As a carbon source for the production of elemental phosphorus, calcium carbide, and silicon carbide. The manufacture of electrodes used in electric furnace production of phosphorus, titanium dioxide, calcium carbide, and silicon carbide. The manufacture of graphite and is feedstock to a gasifier for utilities and/or chemicals production. This table summarizes the benefits and drawbacks of vacuum tower bottoms, vis breaker bottoms, FCC slurry oil, and vacuum tower slop wax as coker feeds. Much of the feed streams to cokers may be blends of mixtures of vacuum residue, vis breaker residue, slurry oil, unconverted oil, and slop wax. Vacuum tower bottoms is considered to be an ideal feed for a coking unit as distillate yields are generally good and the coking rates in the heater are relatively low. Also, feeding vacuum tower bottoms to the unit is the simplest method for cokers. Vis breaker bottoms will have lower liquid yield and higher coking rates, may exhibit asphaltene stability problems, high fouling rates when exposed to oxygen, and have high viscosities unless blended with lighter material, such as FCC slurry oil. Blending a lighter material like FCC slurry with vis breaker bottoms can increase asphaltene solubility depending on aromatics content. FCC slurry oil, on the other hand, may contain some amount of catalyst fines even after being subjected to a solids removal process, and these fines can increase coker heater fouling rates and negatively impact petcoke quality. Vacuum tower slop wax is generally recommended as a blending material as it will contain some amount of distillate depending on the operation of the vacuum tower. The popularity of coking as a method to upgrade heavy residues have led to research to improve the process in a variety of areas, including improving efficiency, shortening run length, extending heater run lengths, increasing processing capacity and improving safety for workers. There has also been interest in new and modified processes related to the coking process. This includes new ways to monitor and control coker units, remote unheating, and more research into coker additives. A number of companies offer commercial coking technologies. Today we will discuss technologies from AMEC Foster Wheeler UOP, Bechtel, ExxonMobil Research and Engineering, KBR, Lummus Technology, and Sinopec LPEC. Note: this is a non-inclusive list of companies. AMEC Foster Wheeler UOP offers its selective yield delayed coking or SIDEC technology. Feed options for this coking process include vacuum resid, atmospheric resid, SDA pitch, and clarified slurry oil. Ascot or asphalt coking technology integrates this coking process with UOPFW USA's solvent de-asphalting process, which, according to the company, can be implemented as a step towards zero fuel oil production. This process diagram depicts a McFoster-Wheeler UOP SIDEC delayed coking technology. Since the 1990s, ConocoPhillips and Bechtel had been in an alliance with regards to the Through-Plus coking technology, which has been claimed to have the following features: zero natural recycle, distillate recycle to reduce coke yield, optimum coke drum pressure, high coke drum operating temperature, a shorter coke drum cycle time of 10 hours, a lengthened drum life with potential for over 30 years, reduced sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide gas emissions, and remote-controlled unheating and drilling. This process diagram depicts Bechtel's Through-Plus delayed coking technology. ExxonMobil offers two commercial coking technologies, fluid coking and flexi coking. In fluid coking, a key feature is 15 to 20% of the coke is burned to satisfy process heat requirements while the remaining coke is withdrawn, cooled, and sent pneumatically to a silo. Flexi-coking extends the fluid coking process by including a gasifier that partially oxidizes up to 97% of the coke, leaving the reactor to form low BTU fuel gas. This process diagram depicts ExxonMobil's flexi-coking process. This process diagram depicts ExxonMobil's fluid coking process. KBR offers commercial delayed coking technology. Feeds into this process can vary from vacuum bottoms, atmospheric bottoms, asphaltenes from SDA units, low API oils, thermal and pyrolysis tars, and other high Conradson carbon residue feeds. This is a process diagram of KBR's delayed coking technology. CB&I, a McDermott International company, acquired ABB Lummus Global more than 10 years ago to form Lummus Technology, whose delayed coking process has reported improvements over the years with operating parameters, including maximized liquid product yields and air cooling, minimized coke production and water cooling, and optimized energy recovery, coke drum design, and feed preheating. This process diagram depicts Lummus Technology's delayed coking process. Sinopec, in conjunction with Loyal Petrochemical Engineering Corporation or LPEC, has developed a coking process that can convert petroleum residue, asphalt, and/or slop oil into gas, naphtha, gas oil, and petroleum coke via thermal cracking. A key feature of this technology is a feasible adjustable recycle ratio. This process diagram depicts Sinopec's delayed coking technology. Coker operations are quite complicated. Operators must pay attention to many issues ranging from feed quality in terms of sludge content and high asphaltene concentration, mitigating coker fouling and corrosion, product quality, wastewater discharge, and so on. In this seminar, we focus on a common, well-known problem: coke drum foaming. Coker operation can be quite complicated. Operators must pay attention to many issues ranging from feed quality in terms of sludge content and high asphaltene concentration, mitigating coker fouling and corrosion, product quality, wastewater discharge, and so on. In this seminar, we will focus on a common, well-known problem: coke drum foaming. Foaming in the coke drum typically leads to coke carryover in the vapor lines and in the main fractionator. Excessive carryover, however, will negatively impact the heater charge tubes, the overhead vapor lines, the fractionator, the heater charge pump, and the blowdown system. Foaming problems in coke drums most commonly occur after drum switching, either in the drum that was just filled, or in a drum that is being filled. Poor coke drum level monitoring can also result in foam carryover during filling. Fortunately, The majority of foaming issues are the result of identifiable operating problems and/or operator errors and can be rectified. Following a drum switch, a pressure drop of 1 to 2 psi or 6.89 to 13.78 kilopascals every 5 minutes is desired. To suppress foam carryover, it is recommended that the coke drum operator maintain an ascending pressure on the top of the full coke drum for a period of 15 minutes. Full coke drums are also susceptible to excessive foaming during the steaming process. Pinching the vapor valve will help to maintain pressure in the drum. Furthermore, it is recommended not to allow the overhead temperature to drop below 780 degrees Fahrenheit or 415 degrees Celsius. Foaming can happen during the coke drum changeover period, during post-changeover steaming towards fractionators, or while steaming the drum towards blowdown system. Pressure drop is considered the greatest contributor to foaming issues, and there are several flaws that can lead to excessive pressure drop and eventual foaming. During the 2011 National Petrochemical and Refiners Association Q&A session, a representative from Indian Oil Corporation shared operational experiences to deal with foaming during coke drum changeover. These operational experiences include changeovers taking 30 minutes to carry out, achieving an operating temperature of 260 to 280 degrees Celsius or 500 to 536 degrees Fahrenheit for 24-hour cycles, and around 300 degrees Celsius or 572 degrees Fahrenheit during 18-hour cycles, increasing size of condensate outlet line from 6 to 14 inches, carefully monitoring condensate draining to ensure no condensate goes with steam during steaming, beginning antifoam injection 4 hours prior to drum switching, and increasing the wet gas compressor suction pressure set point should higher than normal pressure drops occur. Beyond the previously mentioned operational practices to maintain pressure in the coke drum, antifoam agents are used in cokers to prevent the buildup of foam. Silicone addition has proven to be an effective method to suppress foaming in delayed coker drums. The primary antifoams used in cokers are 60,000, 100,000, and 600,000 centi-Stokes or 0.06, 0.1, and 0.6 square meters per second polydimethylsiloxane. A common problem with silicone antifoams, however, is entrainment in the overhead gas stream. One strategy to enhance the impact of antifoam additives is to double the dosage immediately following drum switch while the pressure pinch is being applied, and to return the dosage to normal after the pressure in the drum is stabilized. Refiners can also reduce the amount of antifoam agent by selectively adding the agent within a predetermined time window before a drum switch or when the top-level probe detects a reading. The injection may be automated to react to the level probe alert. The use of a carrier stream such as heavy coker gas oil or light coker gas oil in overhead gas stream would prevent silicone antifoam entrainment. The dilution of the silicone with a carrier oil to allow good dispersion of antifoam can be performed using a batch procedure with a day tank containing an impeller or air sparge, which is recommended by Citgo Refining and Chemicals, or an automated inline injection system that creates a diluted mixture that is sent into the drum, which is recommended by Turner, Mason, and Company. Another way to avoid antifoam entrainment is to maximize the distance between the injection nozzle and the vapor outlets so that it is no closer than 0.5 to 1 meters or 1.6 to 3.3 feet from drum walls. According to Baker Petrolite, switching to a higher centi-Stoke antifoam lowered the silicone concentration in heavy cracked naphtha, light coker gas oil, and heavy coker gas oil products. To make sure that too much antifoam does not reach the fractionator, ASTM D7757, test method for silicon in gasoline and related products by monochromatic wavelength dispersive X-ray fluorescence spectrometry can measure silicon and thus antifoam in naphtha, gasoline, refinery fuel gas, ethanol, ethanol fuel blends, and toluene. Here is our sponsor's experience. Refinery hydrotreating units use expensive hydrodesulfurization or HDS catalysts that can be easily deactivated by silicon, but the antifoams used in delayed coking operations are typically silicon-based. The challenge is to control foam in the coker, prevent silicon contamination in the hydrotreater, and still run an efficient and profitable operation, specifically designed to reduce silicon contamination. Patented Foam Stop Low Catalyst Impact or LCI antifoam controls coke drum foaming while reducing HDS catalyst deactivation. Foam Stop LCI antifoam helps you control coke drum foam and lowers silicon concentrations in coker distillate streams. Minimize the cost and frequency of downstream hydrotreater catalyst replacements and improve refinery profitability. Foam Stop LCI antifoam quickly knocks down foam in the drum when the silicone oil is first injected and controls foam buildup during and after a drum switch. This innovative coker LCI antifoam protects your equipment and helps maintain efficient, problem-free operations. Foam Stop LCI antifoam is more thermally stable than traditional antifoams, making it more effective at lower silicone dosages in the coke drum. The decreased silicone requirement reduces the level of silicon in coker distillates, slowing catalyst deactivation rates, and increasing hydrotreater catalyst life. A refiner was treating their coker with an antifoam that was contributing 3,500 pounds of silicon per year carryover to downstream units. The refiner was experiencing an increase in the silicon content of incoming crudes, resulting in rapid contamination of their downstream catalysts. In an effort to address this issue, Baker Hughes GE recommended the Foam Stop Low Catalyst Impact or LCI antifoam to address the problem. The Foam Stop antifoam was trialed over 32 coke drum cycles to compare to a previous run of 32 cycles using the incumbent antifoam. Fresh feed and furnace charge rates were similar for each case. The trial run had a slightly higher charge rate, 21.3 thousand barrels per day over 19.8 thousand barrels per day, which contributed to a slightly reduced cycle time of the coker. The amount of silicon added to the drum by the antifoam was reduced by 68%, from 0.95 pounds of silicon per thousand barrels per day to 0.30 pounds of silicon per thousand barrels per day. Samples of coker naphtha were taken during the drum cycle for the base case and the trial case. When using the incumbent antifoam, the silicon concentration in the naphtha samples was 19 parts per million of silicon. When using the Foam Stop antifoam, the silicon concentration was 6 parts per million, confirming that the contamination of coker naphtha with silicon was lower when using Foam Stop LCI antifoam. Overall, it was estimated that Foam Stop LCI antifoam decreased the amount of silicon entering the naphtha stream by 2,700 pounds per year, a reduction of 78%. This extended the catalyst's life by an estimated 81 days. The use of cokers in refineries may be on the rise as refiners prepare for the upcoming IMO sulfur spec, which has lowered demand for fuel oil. Refiners can remain competitive by upgrading resid material into useful coke products. When operating a coker, problems such as foaming may occur. There are multiple options to avoid this problem, which include operational changes and additives. While the coking process remains the predominant method for bottom-of-the-barrel upgrading, there are multiple commercial coking technologies that hope to improve on the process. This table compares the energy use, form of product, and product yields of the coking process compared to other bottom-of-the-barrel upgrading methods. Coking, like solvent de-asphalting and especially visbreaking, all result in significant quantities of resid compared to resid FCC, resid hydrotreating, and resid hydrocracking. When choosing a resid upgrading method, refiners should consider the properties of these methods in regards to energy costs and product type and yields. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please join us in July for video number 13, Visbreaking is losing traction? Thank you to Baker Hughes GE for sponsoring this video. Sponsorship opportunities are still available for the rest of the seminar series. Please contact Matt Wonder at mwonder@hydrocarbonpublishing.com to sponsor a future video. Sign up today to receive our quarterly technology newsletter, Worldwide Refinery Processing Review. Since it was launched in 1998, the review has become the most authoritative and comprehensive publication of the latest refining technologies around the world. The review monitors commercial technology developments and competition, plant operation improvements and troubleshooting, and R&D trends for all processing units. from the front end to the back end, in a single source. Each issue covers 2 technology topics with the following sections. Market and Technology Trends and Opportunities offers a strategic overview of the featured technologies. State-of-the-art technology. Plant Operations and Practices. Refining R&D Alert, which has extensive coverage of the latest patents and analysis as well as research work undertaken. Worldwide installed capacity. Recent construction activity and completed construction projects and latest refining technology developments and licensing, as shown in the table. This year's subscription will cover 8 topics, 2 in each quarter, apart from an annual subscription of the review. Individual quarterly issues and individual technology topics are also available for purchase. For more information, contact us at review@hydrocarbonpublishing.com. Your comments are appreciated. Please send your comments to info@opportunitycrudes.com so we can enhance the value of upcoming seminars. Here are upcoming crude oil quality events. Disclaimers.